Hello world, I just left work and I'm on my way to a really cool event by Yuval Noah Harari, who I talked about in my video on how to be happy. And it's a conversation between him and Natalie Portman about his newest book, 21 Lessons for 21st Century. It's too nice of a day to take the tube or the bus, so I'm just on the bicycle cycling south. Here we go. There were tickets available for the actual live event and I was a bit too late with that. I got the tickets for the live streaming of that event, so it's in a completely different venue. Taking the bike may result in you arriving quite sweaty to your final destination, but I will take a 20-minute ride out in the open in my favorite city rather than 20 minutes packed in a tube feeling like a sardine. So yeah, totally sweaty, very happy. So I haven't read the book that the conversation is going to be based on, but I did get a ticket with the book, so you know what I'm going to be reading this weekend. Conversation. I thought I would do a video on my way home, but I feel like I need to really process what I just heard. So I'd love to have a sit-down video and kind of pull all my thoughts together. But now it's time to cycle back. Honestly, my favorite. The weather's so good. I think I'm just even gonna take my coat off and just cycle with my hair in the air, coat off, and such a good weather in London right now. I can't imagine like people choosing tube over this. This is just a pity. Honestly, when I'm cycling, I just feel like I'm on a date with the city, and it makes me pinch myself every time to remind myself that I live here. It's so crazy. As opposed to when you're on the tube, it almost feels like you're part of a machine and it's a routine and it doesn't feel like you live in a big, beautiful city. So I think it's very important to step out of that comfort zone sometimes of what we're used to, or what sometimes may even take less time. And go out and explore the city, and I'm just so grateful to be able to just pick up a bicycle and go home. I think this is a way better format to talk about the conversation that I've attended instead of being on the street with loud noises or being on my bicycle, which isn't safe. So there's a few things that really stuck with me in the conversation between Yuval Noah Harari and Natalie Portman. And I even took a few snapshots for you from the conversation. So as I'm talking about what has made an impact on me in that conversation, I'm going to be sharing those snapshots with you. One of the things that struck me was the notion of storytelling, and how storytelling in a way takes over our lives and makes fictional world so real for us that sometimes we forget just how real it is. One of the really fun examples that he's given was that, I think it was in London when Harry Potter musical or show was being open, they were considering a black girl to play Hermione. There was a huge uproar that it can't be a black person, it has to be a white person, Hermione is white. And from all of the 7 volumes, which I think there's 7 volumes of Harry Potter, they skimmed through and found this one part, she's described as having white skin, where she's in the forest and the moonlight is hitting her white skin. So it's probably one of the only sentences actually saying that she has white skin in all of the volumes of Harry Potter, and people were using that as a fact that Hermione cannot be played by a black person. And it is such a silly example, but it's such a real one, because sometimes we do take fiction for such a real thing in life that we find it very hard to adjust our belief system to something that we're so used to believing. So Hermione being white, and us reading 7 volumes of Harry Potter and watching all the movies and having this belief system, all of a sudden we need to challenge it, and that's just not okay. We just want to be used to whatever we already believe in. So I found that a very powerful example of how sometimes we treat fictional world as it is the reality of our life.
Sort of obvious connection between us, maybe for other people, would be that we're both were born in Israel. So I'm interested in how you think your origins have influenced you as a historian, as a thinker.
I think we're both born in the myth factory of the world, like a place that specializes in producing extremely powerful stories, for good and for bad. And when you live in such a place, you just cannot ignore the enormous power of the human imagination, the enormous power of stories to move the world. So I guess that, you know, maybe I would have written the same books even if I had been born in Australia or China, maybe not. But certainly, I think that living in a place where, at least recently, people have been killing each other by the millions over fictional stories makes you see the world in a very particular way.
And the second bit that I found very interesting and I think very important to stop and think about was when he talked about science fiction and AI. And by AI, I mean artificial intelligence. So many of the big corporations and organizations employing complicated algorithms and running AI actually have at times more knowledge about us than we have knowledge about ourselves. It's a scary thing to think about, but this is what he has to say about it.
The problem is that for the first time we have a technology that can understand our purposes better than we do, and can therefore manipulate it without our even realizing it. We have all this still myth of free will, that everything we choose is of our own free will. And this is a myth that served us well for a couple of centuries, but now it's becoming dangerous. The easiest people to manipulate are the people who are convinced that their decision, I decided, it's my free will.
So this leads us to the last part of the conversation they had that had a very powerful effect on me, and the conversation was about spirituality versus religion. Spirituality is focusing on questions, and some deep questions that allow you to take the time and learn much more about yourself than you ever knew, and also focus in on what he calls your own operational system. So learning yourself inside and out, how your mind works, why it works the way it works, why you want certain things that you want, and challenging yourself. And as I sat in that seat watching Harari talk, I couldn't help but think of my husband, who is probably one of the very few people in my life who challenges absolutely everything that is thrown his way. And I think it is extremely important to challenge not only others around you that maybe even try to force their beliefs on you, but also challenge yourself and try to really understand why you think the way you think, and why certain things are important to you, and why you want certain things in life.
In the end, morality is about reducing suffering in the world. You don't need to believe in this God or that God in order to act morally. You need to have a deep appreciation of suffering. I do think that we need spirituality as against religion in all times, in all cases. But for me, spirituality and religion are totally different things. They are almost the opposite of one another. Spirituality is about questions, and religion is about answers. Spirituality is when you have this big question, like what is consciousness, or what is the meaning of life, or who am I, or what is the good, and you go on a quest to find out the answers to this question, and you have the courage, the willingness to go wherever this question takes you, because it's very important to you. Religion is about answers. It's when somebody comes and says, this is the answer, you must believe that, if not, you will burn in hell, or we will burn you. Religion, on the other hand, I think it has done whatever good or bad it could have done for humanity. And it's now losing more and more of its power. It's still very important for people's identity. But most of its traditional roles, I mean, in the past, religion, you know, it determined agriculture and medicine. If you are sick, you go to the priests. If there is no rain, you go to the temple to pray. And all these things have been taken over by science and technology and the engineers and the doctors. And what is left is really defining collective identities for human groups. And in this, religion is now mostly harmful, I think, because instead of encouraging global unity, the main thing it does at present is to support tribalism and nationalism and prevent greater human collaboration.
So to summarize all of this, and I hope you gain some value out of this, and we'll be able to have these challenging conversations with the people around you, which I find so important. Harari calls out two things that are important to do going forward. One is to challenge governments and systems controlling the information that is being targeted at us as guinea pigs, where there should be a global body responsible for setting certain guidelines for what we should be receiving as information and what we shouldn't be receiving as information. And then the second piece is around learning to learn more about yourself. And by doing so, we will potentially create a better shield from anything external that tries to get into our mind, program it the way that's beneficial for that party, making us in turn believe that this is our own opinion and everything we do is our complete free will. So I found it extremely interesting. I can't wait to dive into this baby over the weekend, and I really hope you found this video valuable for you. If you know of anyone that you think may enjoy watching this video, please do share it with them. I would really appreciate it. Equally, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. That would be amazing. And I will see you in my next video tomorrow. Mwah!